I'd like to introduce Monica from England, who takes LDN for ME CFS. Thank you for joining me, Monica.
Hello.
Could you tell me when you first started to notice your symptoms?
Well, I started I had a diagnosis of viral meningitis in 1988, so I've been ill for 26 years. I was working as a GP. I was very well, fit, healthy, used to jog. Developed this crushing headache. By the next day I was in hospital with dehydration and vomiting, and the meningitis actually occurred 6 weeks later. I was very, very severely ill with the ME when I was first diagnosed. I was unable to feed myself, get to the loo. My partner used to have to come home at lunchtime, so that he could give me something to drink and eat. I had a 4-year-old daughter that I was completely incapable of looking after. Now, I slowly improved. I actually had acupuncture, traditional acupuncture, and very, very, very slowly improved. Got myself back to part-time work after about 3 or 4 years, but very, very small amounts of work. Increased again a bit, and then had an episode of gastroenteritis and relapsed again. And at that point, I again was very, very severely ill, unable to look after myself, in bed all the time, crushing headaches, no brain function, a lot of pain. And again, slowly improved, but this time not as well. And I kind of reached a plateau where I was housebound, not really able to I couldn't watch television, I couldn't read much, but I could get perhaps outside and do 5-10 minutes gardening on a good day. I was dependent on my husband for cooking, shopping, cleaning, all those kind of things. So that was where I was up to until about 2 years ago.
And when were you diagnosed with ME, CFS?
At the very start.
Okay.
Because I went into hospital, I was under a consultant who was aware of ME, who believed in ME, and he had to wait the 6 months, but at 6 months he said to me, "You have chronic fatigue syndrome. We have no idea what causes it, but we know that it can be a long-term problem." Now, I had lots of blood tests and investigations in hospital because I was making such poor progress. But they were all negative, and so that's why he could say very early on that I had ME.
And how did you hear about LDN?
I saw a doctor called Andy Wright, who unfortunately has been struck off for prescribing certain treatments, but he had over the time tried me with several things which had helped. He'd given me, for instance, long-term antibiotics at one point, which had helped a bit, enabled me to go out of the house, that kind of thing. But as soon as I came off them, I'd relapsed very quickly. I'd tried something called Cemento, which had also helped a bit, but then when I stopped it again, I went downhill. So Andy Wright, about 2 years ago, or perhaps 3 years ago, started me on LDN. I have to say I had to take it in very small doses to begin with, and it took me probably 18 months to get up to my present dose. I'm now seeing Dr. Gilhooly in Glasgow, and he's continuing to prescribe it for me.
When you first started the LDN, and I know you said that you had to increase it gradually, did you notice any introductory side effects?
I got headaches. That was my major problem. Now, you have to remember, with the meningitis, I've had very bad migraines almost the whole of the time since then, and had never been free of headaches until I started LDN. Now, when I started LDN, to begin with, the headaches were worse. One of the major things about it is that I now don't have headaches regularly at all. In fact, most of the time I'm without headaches, and that is a major improvement for me. I didn't get other problems. In fact, I got very early on, I was aware that my energy had gone up, but it just wasn't still as good as I felt it could be, which was why we kept increasing the dose.
And what dose are you on now?
Well, I'm now on 6 milligrams in the morning and 6.5 milligrams at night. So I'm actually on 12.5 milligrams, which I know is a lot higher than most people are on. but I have needed that dose. A lot of people stop at about 4.5 milligrams. That really wasn't making a lot of difference to my life. I couldn't walk. I could get out of the house. I could do a little bit. We're up to the kind of quarter of an hour of gardening. But it didn't make major changes to my life. Once I got to about 9-10 milligrams, I started noticing I really was different. And now, the difference now is just amazing. I can walk. I'm not fit. 26 years of being ill, you don't get fit overnight. But I can walk a couple of miles without any problem at all. I can garden, a morning without a problem. I can cook my own food. I can go shopping without thinking about it. I still have problems with company and with kind of mental stimulation. But you have to remember I started with meningitis, and I was actually independently tested for brain damage, and we know that I have brain damage from the meningitis. So that's probably why I've still got the mental problems.
Mm-hmm. So
the other thing I didn't say is I used to have enormous amounts of food allergies. Because of the gastroenteritis, immediately after that I developed intolerance to virtually every carbohydrate, an awful lot of other things. I was on a very restricted diet, which slowly improved, but I was left long-term with a very severe allergy to wheat and to milk. And it was only when I went on LDN that I got rid of those. And that, again, didn't happen at the lower doses. It happened when I was on about 8 milligrams that I suddenly realized I could start taking those foods.
Mm-hmm. So if you were to score your quality of life on a score of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, before LDN, what would you have said it was?
Before LDN?
Yes.
Oh, 2. And
what would you say it is now?
About 8.
Wow, that's some improvement, isn't it?
Oh yeah. For instance, before LDN, I had no social life at all. Now, 3 days, I'm learning the accordion. I go to a choir on a Monday. I'm actually the accompanist for another choir on a Wednesday. Now, I couldn't have possibly done anything like that. It's just a physical impossibility to have been in that kind of company, done anything on a regular basis. I couldn't commit to anything regularly. Mm-hmm. So yes, enormous change.
And what would you say to other people who are rather sceptical about trying LDN?
Oh, try it. The thing is that most people get a benefit really early on, just within the first month, even if you're noticing a few side effects. At the same time, you're noticing that your energy levels go up, and it really is worth trying. I understand. I've never seen, I don't think there's anything in print, but I understand it's about 80% of people really with ME improve, which is almost better than anything else that LDN is used for. It really is worth trying it.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
Okay, a pleasure.